Hello, and welcome to the June edition of the Habitat Home Show. We have another great episode lined up for you today. We'll be speaking with Troy Singer, one of our former board members and a very dedicated donor, volunteer, and advocate for Habitat. We'll also have another update on our Edison Street build, which is almost complete and will actually be completed here in the next couple days. We're going to feature a few items at our restore, and we'll have a volunteer spotlight with another great volunteer, Kelly Gray. So to begin the episode, I'd like to welcome Troy Singer, a former board member and a current dancer, but we'll get into that later, at our signature event this year, Habitat in Havana. So welcome, Troy.
Thank you, Brad. I'm honored to be here.
Yes, thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking your time to join us today. Today's episode's about why you love Habitat. So my first question I want to ask you, because you've been involved with Habitat for, I want to say, 10 or 11 years at least, why do you love Habitat?
Well, it's like anything when you spend a lot of time and give a lot of blood and passion and time to it, you really get involved and you really get intimate with that. And that's what Habitat has been for me the first 10 to 12 years being involved. It started just from an interest, but then after that it became a passion. Once you get to know the families, you get to know the staff, you actually really get to know the mission and you believe in it, and then working hard to achieve greater heights, it just grabs you.
Mm-hmm. So how did you originally get involved? Was it, I've only been here for 3 years, so I'm not completely adept to the story, but was it as a board member, or were you part of the family selection committee first?
I was a part of the family selection committee first. I was approached to be a board member, but at that time we figured that it would be better for me to get familiar with the local affiliate with being a volunteer. Okay. And I volunteered, and back then it was the Family Selection and Services Committee. They were the same committee. And as you know, Brad, we were in charge of going out and attracting families, letting them know that the process had begun, actually taking the applications, and then from those over 100 applications, getting it down to the 5 or 10 families that we would accept for any given year.
Okay. So, but after that, then you transitioned into the board, and just through circumstance, essentially, you became the board president, if I remember correctly, within the first few years. Is that correct?
Yes. There was a dynamic man. His name was Doug Klein. I agreed to be his vice president with the intent of being president in a couple of years. But unfortunately, Doug had a massive heart attack about 3 months into it, and I stepped into that role. And it was a great learning experience, and that's probably where I developed my intimacy with the local affiliate and really got to know it from all levels. As you know, of a volunteer, you have that very minute vision of what your job is, but then when you have a leadership role, then you get to see everything that's happening, and you see where one organization or one part of the affiliate, how it works with the other.
Mm-hmm. And I know, talking to my boss, our executive director, Diane, she mentioned when we had kind of approached this subject for an episode, that how big of how important of an action it was that you stepped up and took on the board president role, because for those of you not familiar with nonprofits and how they run, like, the board is essentially the boss of the executive director, correct?
It is. We kind of oversee the overall mission, the overall strategy, but then it's up to the executive director to manage the staff to achieve that, and then we monitor it. Also making sure that the affiliate is financially sound and making sure that it's achieving their goals.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you, especially since you've been in leadership roles, you've also been on the ground floor as far as working with the partner families when they come in. Mm-hmm. How would you say this affiliate has changed in your time as a volunteer and advocate for Habitat?
I want to say this very delicately, but Sure. It's grown tremendously. Although it was a wonderful organization when I got there and when I started, it's a totally different organization now. It's much larger, both of the families that we touch and service, the amount of staff, the building. The building that we were in over on Patterson was starting to deteriorate, and we were starting to grow out of it, especially the restore. Mm-hmm. So getting into the current building on Riverside, back then was a big goal, something that we really wanted to achieve and didn't know how we were going to do it. Now to see it the way it is, it makes me very proud. Although it wasn't under my tenure that it got done, it was under my tenure that we kind of started that search. It's just much bigger, Brad, much more dynamic, probably much more process focused, where before it was a lot of wonderful volunteers, a lot of passionate people, probably less on the professional side as far as on the board and on staff. Everything has been elevated to a professional level where we are a very good affiliate and on par with a lot of affiliates our size in the country.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny that you mentioned the building, because we have some pictures on the screen that will be going through here of the difference between the old Restore, especially in Patterson location, and the Riverview location now that has our Restore and our offices in together. And it's just night and day difference. It's
night
amazing.
and day, and it's very important because, as you know, and hopefully a lot of other people know, that's a revenue generating mechanism for us. And when people would go over to the old site, it wasn't real attractive. It didn't give them the sense that it was organized. It didn't have the store feel that when you go in there now, it looks like a boutique. Maybe not Nordstrom's, but you're going to be able to get your building supplies and some things for your house, and depending on what's in there that week, a lot of attractive things for your home, where before it just didn't have that allure where people outside of the building trades, I think, would feel comfortable going. So again, that's something that is a big difference. Much larger organization, much more professional presented organization than it was before. But it was a wonderful small organization back then, which I wouldn't have changed back then.
And I know through your leadership and your predecessors and those that followed you, we've grown by leaps and bounds in those 12 years, it seems like, as you mentioned, in the family served as well as in the staff, and how professional we're acting, more like a business essentially, and not so much like your traditional nonprofit. So
very much so. And then also I think Habitat itself is changing, where before the emphasis was really just building houses, but during the time on the board there was a emphasis steered more toward rehab, because again that affects families in need as well. And I've been away from the affiliate for about, I think, 4 or 5 months, but I'm sure you're still doing some of the rehab work, and I'm sure things are going to change as the world changes over the next few years. And you're never going to get completely rid of me, but it's just good to see from the outside what a wonderful organization that it still is.
And we'll never try to get rid of you. I know that's one of the things that we'll continue to talk about here, because I wanted to ask you about, I know early on when you were on the board, we had a signature event, a fundraiser, and it kind of went away for a couple years, but you were very instrumental in the first year to bring back, I guess it would have been in 2013, I believe, to bring back the signature event for Habitat, and that one was Habitat in the Hamptons.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about that experience. You were co-chair with another great volunteer, and tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, and to give you a brief background, in my tenure both as chair of the board, but then immediately after that, I felt it was a shame that Habitat is known worldwide and one of the most recognizable nonprofit brands, but here locally, I felt that we fell short and needed a signature gala. And it was something that I talked to Diane on many occasions, and one of those things, well, if you want it to happen, you have to make it happen. So Habitat in the Hamptons, a lot of great volunteers on the finance committee came together. It was held outside. It was held in Beaver Creek, in an area where it was a new housing development. We just got lucky. It was a beautiful place, and I believe we raised over $45,000 in our very first year. And I must say there were some people that didn't think we were going to be as successful as that in the first year. So, kind of proving it to everyone that we were deserving of a signature gala. And now, with the current co-chairs, Kelly and Penny, I think they've just taken it and ran. I'm very excited about both participating this year, but also having seen how much money is raised for the affiliate.
Yeah, and that's it's been interesting to see that, because there's a lot of events in our region, but I think we have a fun one, it seems, and I know you guys were a big instrumental part of that.
It's different. It's meant to be a casual garden party versus something that people feel they need to go out and purchase a suit or a gown. It's something that's held outside, elegant enough where it's worth paying the money that it is, but also relaxed enough that you can have fun in a very casual atmosphere.
And I think our attendees and participants seem to have fun at our event too. I know that's one of the comments we get at the end of the event and the follow-up.
Well, this will be the first year that I'm not on the committee, so I can enjoy it a little bit more from the outside. Although I am participating, I do look forward to being more of an attendee than rather working behind the scenes, making sure everything goes well.
Sure. And so tell me about your participation in this event. I mean, I know what it is, but tell our audience about that, please.
Well, Brad, I'm going to be a dancer. And it is a Dancing with the Stars type event where we have 6 local people, people that are known and that can go into their constituencies and raise money. We're all paired up with a professional dancer. We had about 11 to 12 weeks to practice, and we are kind of keeping it a secret. And although it's not meant to be competitive, as it gets closer to the date, I'm finding that things are getting a little more competitive, especially with the professional dancers.
Oh.
So on July 9th, we will all come together, and depending on how many people that we can get to follow us and how good our dance is, we're going to garner votes by having people donate money for us. And then the best dancer will be the person or the couple that raises the most money.
Excellent, and we thank you for that. I think it's a different step in the event for us this year in that we are kind of doing, I don't know if that's exactly crowdfunding, but utilizing the dancers and the participants to help us raise money and serve more families in the community through this fun event on July 9th.
Yeah, I think it's going to be wonderful, and I was just speaking to Kelly about that. I think they've hit the nail on the head, and I think they have the foundation to have an excellent event. So we need to get everyone out to support our wonderful dancers.
And we definitely look forward to you busting a move. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. I haven't seen the actual previews. I know you're kind of keeping it wrapped up for now.
We are.
And,
You'll have
you
to
want
come out to
surprise.
see it in order to know what we're going to do.
Excellent. And again, that's July 9th at Austin Landing. And you can get your tickets at www.daytonhabitat.org. Now we're going to bring on Ashley Reeves, who's going to be talking with Kelly Gray, our co-chair to the Habitat in Havana event on July 9th.
Hello, welcome to our June edition of our Volunteer Spotlight. I'm Ashley Reeves, Volunteer Services Coordinator with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Dayton, and today I am joined by a volunteer who is our co-chair for our signature event for the year, Habitat in Havana, and quoting our Executive Director, Diane Graham, amazing volunteer who brings concept to reality and who will do anything that is asked of her. So today I welcome Kelly Gray.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for coming on.
Me. I appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate you coming on today. We always like to make sure our volunteer spotlights are amazing, and Diane said you're an amazing volunteer, so we knew we had to get you on our show today.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming on. Just a little bit of background, how did you first become involved with Habitat for Humanity?
You know, I've been involved with Habitat for so long. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I think I've been involved for about 15 or more years, and started by getting involved in Habitat Builds. Again, I'm not sure how I actually started doing that, but I really love getting my hands dirty and getting in there and learning new skills by volunteering and doing the builds. So I've always really enjoyed that.
Okay, very nice. So over the years, 15 years, which is an amazing amount of time to volunteer with one organization, so thank you so much. What different roles have you played within the organization, different roles that you've been engaged with?
So like I said, I've worked on the builds. I'm also a commercial realtor by trade, so I was fortunate enough to help Habitat find the great building that they're in now on Riverview, and also help them sell the building that they were at previously, so they could put that money to good use for other purposes.
Very nice. And then currently, your role is the co-chair of our signature event for this year, Habitat in Havana.
So I've been involved with the Habitat Galas since they were brought back around, and this is my second year as co-chair. So we really pride ourselves on having not only a great fundraiser for a great cause, which is really the most important thing, is that we are there to raise funds to help families get in safe and stable homes. But we like to have an event that's fun, and it's not stuffy, it's not black tie, and we have that kind of garden party theme and do different things every year just to kind of, mix it up a little bit, make it interesting.
Sure, I think that's very important, and I'm sure that our attendees like the difference in themes and whatnot. So I know for the theme of our episode today is why do you love Habitat? And for a volunteer who's been volunteering with us for 15 years, I think it's important for our viewers to know what continues to motivate you to continue to stay involved with Habitat. Why do you love Habitat?
Well, I really love Habitat because of the work that they do. They have a wonderful staff, and they're there to help families get into homes. And when you help and are involved in a build or a dedication, and you see the families and the kids that are getting their first bedrooms ever, I mean, that's really inspiring to help them. And the kids get to choose the paint color for their bedroom or choose something to decorate with. It's very important, and there's a lot of families out there who need help. They don't, need charity, but they need someone to help them because they work every day, and it's hard to make ends meet.
Okay, very nice. So kind of switching back to our signature event, because I definitely want to touch base on that since that's your current volunteer role with us as co-chair. What's different about this year's theme? I know Brad mentioned it previously in the episode, but what's different about this year's theme?
Yeah, so this year our theme is Habitat in Havana. We thought Havana was a timely topic because of everything that's going on there. So this is kind of going to have some Cuban food, some Cuban dancing, some Latin flair. We have recruited area celebrities to help us with our endeavor this year by dancing for Habitat. So they are learning new steps with professional instructors from several different studios that have volunteered their time to help Habitat. And Habitat just kind of spurs people to help and volunteer. And our dancers are going to raise money for Habitat with votes from both the attendees and people that they know can vote, start voting now actually. And they can do that if they go to our Facebook page, which is Habitat for Humanity Dayton Gala, and they can see all the dancers that are there, see pictures of them and their celebrities, and then begin to vote now.
Very nice. So for our viewers, just if they've never attended one of our signature events before, how can they help? What can they do to help Habitat for Humanity with their signature event?
Yeah, so to help our event that they can attend, there are still some sponsorship opportunities, so they could sponsor in various different ways, both in kind and with dollars. They can straight out donate either to one of the dancers or directly, or they can come volunteer. We need volunteers for the event, and Habitat needs volunteers all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Absolutely. Everywhere. I will put you wherever you need to go. So I think this event for this year sounds amazing. I'm really excited that as a staff member I get to volunteer and actually be there. I'm quite excited, and it definitely will help, I think, our viewers and potential volunteers who want to come out and help support Habitat at this year's signature event.
So another thing that let me throw in that we have is that in addition to the fun of the dancing competition we're going to have, we will have silent auction opportunities. Okay. So we have trips, and we have tickets, and we have concerts, and we have rounds of golf, and just a lot of really interesting, fun things. We have signed Boston Celtics balls and jerseys, and so there's a little bit for everybody, and those will also be available to vote on, or to bid on whether or not you attend the event.
Oh wow, that's great. So lots of different opportunities to come out and support our signature event this year. So Kelly, I just want to say thank you so much for coming out and being our volunteer spotlight for June. It was a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're going to focus on our Restore, which is another revenue generator for Habitat for Humanity of Greater Dayton. Our Restore is located at 115 West Riverview Avenue in Dayton, Ohio. This month, we're going to be looking at a few of the items that they have in here. The first item that we're looking at are these paintings from Pino's Palette, which is another organization that does fundraisers for people. And you go in there and you bring your friends and you get a bottle of wine and you paint this painting that they have that you can see on the screen. they actually brought them to our restore so that we could sell them and raise revenue for the home builds in the community. The next item is one of our most popular items any given month, and that's cabinet sets. We have a variety of cabinet sets. We would suggest if you come in to buy one that you measure your kitchen and get the dimensions to make sure it'll fit. After that, we're going to look at some high quality bathtubs. One of them even has the jets in it, so after a hard day of working or volunteering on a Habitat site or in our restore, you can turn the jets on in your bathtub, maybe read a book and drink a little wine before you go to Pino's Palette, I guess. And then our last item that we'll be focusing on today is a locker set, which is one of those kind of unique items that come into our restore every now and again. And if you don't have a school you're operating, you can actually use it in your garage or in a utility room or anything like that to keep items such as coats or bags or even tools and very well organized through the locker set. So if you'd like to shop at our restore, please again come down to 115 West Riverview Avenue in Dayton, Ohio. We're open Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturdays, 9 to 3. If you would like to donate to the restore, you can call 937-222-2296, and we'll actually come pick it up. Or you can actually go online at www.daytonhabitat.org/restore, and you can schedule your pickup online. And you always have the option to stop by the restore and drop off your donations. This month, as we've been following the 213 Edison Street build for Remedios Lopez and her 6 children, we're actually excited to be showing that the house is complete. We had the dedication last Friday, and we're showing you pictures of that dedication. Remedios and her children have worked very hard through the program. They've been in the program just about 2 years, have worked through 275 hours of sweat equity, working on their house and the houses of other partner families in the Habitat program, as well as Remedios went through about 40 hours of educational training. So we got the opportunity this past Friday to actually dedicate the home. She signed her 0% interest mortgage. She'll begin making payments in the next month. She got the keys, and the kids have been able to pick out their bedrooms and get into the new home that they will be able to grow up in their future. Now for everybody's favorite segment of the episode, we have Norm's Know-How. So Norm Iozzi's here with me again today. He's going to be talking about affordable energy saving tips for this summer. So Norm, welcome.
Thank you, Brad.
This is some good timing as the temperatures are reaching in the 90s, and I'm sure the electric bills are going up. So what do you have for us today?
Absolutely. Well, like I say, I'm trying to, I guess, emphasize some things that are affordable or things that people can actually do to an existing home. Obviously, like I say, energy efficiency is important to us. Mm-hmm. We build Energy Star rated homes. But if you live in a house and you just wanted to improve the efficiency of your home, some of the easy ways, the first would be you can actually change your window screens to make your house more efficient. So, but they actually sell, it's a solar window screening, right? And it's actually not too hard to rescreen your windows. Mm-hmm. It's something you can have done for you. But the screening itself, what it does is it absorbs energy from the sun, so less of it comes into the house. On the flip side, if you do that with your screens, in the wintertime, you can actually take them off, which of course allows the sun to heat your house, which is another energy saving tip, just kind of the reverse.
Mm-hmm. And these fit every window size, or you can get them customized to your window size?
You can get them customized any window size. If your screen frames are good, you can just have the frames re-screened. As a matter of fact, next month, that's going to be our Norm's Know-How tip. I'll show people how to do that. It's really a lot easier than you think. Regarding the windows also, another affordable upgrade is having your windows tinted.
Okay.
So same thing. We actually talk about low E. There's low E, which is basically low emissivity or emissivity, I think is what it is. Windows, basically it reflects the sun's light. So you can actually have your windows tinted to do the same thing. So it keeps the sunlight out and actually holds some of the temperature inside the house as well.
It's not just for cars then, huh?
Not just for cars, not just to look cool when you're out cruising, that's right. Make your house look cool too.
And be cool on the inside, right?
That's right. Another thing, as far as being cool goes, something that I've noticed: front doors, or whatever doors you have that actually face, whether it's facing to the south or to the southwest, those pick up a lot of heat. So if you have a dark colored door, if you ever put your hand on the inside of it, I know there's doors I've touched where they were a dark blue or black, and on the inside they're so hot that you can hardly put your hand on them at different times of the day. So if if you're concerned about saving some extra energy, paint your door a lighter color, and that reflects the sunlight. Again, it's getting rid of that sunlight. Something else, air conditioning coils and the outside condensing units. I keep harping on AC stuff, but as those units get dirtier and the coil is actually inside the furnace, right, it's not really easily accessible. So that's why I suggest once a year, either have a maintenance contract with a HVAC company, but if they come out and clean that, it's kind of like say little fins. And as they get clogged up with dust and lint and sometimes pet hair, less air can move through them. And so the less air that moves through them, the less efficient they are. So you might have a service call to pay for, but over the year, because again, it works better summer and winter, especially if you have a heat pump, it can save you more than what you'll actually spend, and of course preserve the light of your furnace and air conditioner. Life, not light. But speaking of light, one of the easiest upgrades now are LED light bulbs. I was down at IKEA and I saw LED light bulbs, 2 packs for about $3.
Wow.
So the price has really come down on them. And like a 40-watt equivalent LED bulb uses 6 watts of electricity.
Wow.
And so for that,
Which is what you're charged on.
Which is what you're basically right. That's what's making that meter spin. And so it's really surprising because lighting actually does use a lot of the energy that like if you're through DP&L or whoever your electric service provider is, a big portion of that is lighting. And so if you replaced all your bulbs with the LED bulbs, many of them are even dimmable. So if you like that, or if you want the light just a little bit even lower, you could do something like that. So again, there's a lot of affordable things that you can do to increase your energy efficiency, which is of course just more money in your pocket rather than somebody else's.
So you can spend it on having some summer fun then, whether it's at a picnic or the festivals that are going on.
Sounds great. Or coming to the Habitat for Humanity gala that we're
true.
having at Austin Landing. That's
or just
right.
donating it to us even. Well, it's interesting you talk about the LED bulbs, because this morning while I was getting ready for work, they actually, I don't know if it was the radio or on TV, I think DP&L, who is a sponsor of Habitat, thankfully, is actually giving in-store discounts for buying LED bulbs. So they're trying to push that it's even more efficient than the halogen, I think it was. They were
The CFL.
CFL, compact fluorescent lights. So excellent. Well, thank you for sharing those tips. We look forward to saving some money over the winter or over the summer, of course. Yeah, we're wishing it was winter. And we appreciate your time this afternoon to share those with us.
All right, thank you.
So that wraps up our show for today. Thank you for watching. We actually look forward next month we're going to have Ashley Reeves, our volunteer coordinator, hosting the whole show, because it's going to be a volunteer-driven show, or a focus on volunteers. So although I may be around, you're going to miss me for 1 month. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next month.